The huge warship Haesong floated in the dark emptiness of space. Once it had been the pride of Earth's fleet. Now it drifted alone, forgotten for almost 200 years. Its engines were cold, its weapons lay silent. Most of its systems were shut down, saving power for the secret that lay deep within its metal walls. In the distance, a strange ship approached. Its shape was unlike anything humans had built. It moved like a predator, slow and careful, as it drew closer to the Haesong. "Target in visual range, Commander," said Officer Mura, her three-fingered hands moving across the control panel of the alien ship. The screen showed the human warship, dark except for a few dim lights. Commander Tay stepped forward. His tall, thin body moved with grace despite the heavy armor he wore. His skin had a pale blue tint that seemed to glow under the ship's lights. "Any signs of life?" he asked, his large eyes fixed on the screen. "No, Commander," Mura replied. "We detect minimal power. Life support is working only in the central areas. As our report said, it appears to be abandoned." Tay nodded slowly. "Perfect. The humans have no idea that this ship still exists. Their records were destroyed in the war." He turned to face the crew. "This is what we have been searching for. Intelligence believes the humans were working on a powerful weapon before we defeated them. Something that could have changed the outcome of the war. If we can find it, the Concordat will reward us greatly." The crew members looked at each other with excitement. The Concordat, the alliance of alien species that had fought against humanity, had been searching for this secret weapon for generations. If it existed, it could give them even more power over the humans they had already beaten. "Prepare the boarding team," Tay ordered. "Full stealth. We don't know what security systems might still be active." As the alien ship moved closer to the Haesong, something happened deep inside the human warship. In a hidden room that did not appear on any map or blueprint, sensors detected the approaching alien vessel. A computer woke up. It ran checks on all systems. It found that most of the ship was still intact, though powered down. Then it began a special program that had been waiting to run for 200 years. In the center of the hidden room stood a large metal pod. It looked like a coffin made of steel and glass. Inside, a human man floated in clear liquid. His eyes were closed. His chest barely moved with shallow breaths. The pod began to glow as the computer sent commands to it. Q. Liquid in the pod drained away. The man's body twitched. His fingers moved slightly. Above him, a screen lit up with words. "Revival sequence initiated subject. Colonel Jun Han, Earth Defense Force. Time in stasis. 193 years, 47 days, 12 hours. Revival progress." 2% inside the pod, Colonel Han remained still. But deep in his mind, he began to dream. He saw Earth as it had been before the war. Beautiful, peaceful, full of life. Then he saw the flames as the alien ships attacked. He heard the screams. He felt the pain of loss as humanity fought back, but slowly lost ground. These were not just dreams. They were memories. The computer was feeding them into his mind, reminding him of who he was and why he had agreed to sleep for so long. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, 12 soldiers prepared for the mission. They checked their weapons and activated their special suits. These suits would bend light around them, making them almost invisible. "Remember," Commander Tay told them, "this is a stealth mission. We find the ship's main computer, download its data, and search for any unusual technology. Do not engage any automated defenses unless absolutely necessary." Lieutenant Doka, the tech specialist, spoke up. "Commander, what if we find this weapon the humans were building?" Tay looked at him, seriously. "If we find it, we take it. If we can't take it, we destroy it. The humans must never have access to it again." He paused. "They were dangerous, these humans. That's why our ancestors had to form the Concordat. That's why we had to push them back to their home planet and watch over them. If they had finished building this weapon, they might have won." Des Moines team nodded. They had all learned about the war in school. How the humans had expanded too quickly through space, taking planets that other species had claimed. How they had refused to join the Concordat and follow its rules. How they had fought fiercely when told to return to their own solar system. Inside the Haisong, the revival process continued. Revival progress. 37% activating neural interface connecting. Two ship systems, deep in Colonel Han's brain, tiny machines turned on. They had been put there before he went into the pod. They connected his mind directly to the ship's computer. Information began to flow into his thoughts. He learned that aliens had found the ship. He saw them through the ship's sensors as they prepared to board. On the alien vessel, a docking tube extended toward the Haisong. It attached to an airlock on the side of the human ship. The 12 soldiers lined up, weapons ready. "Move out," Commander Tay ordered. One by one, they entered the tube. When they reached the airlock, Lieutenant Doka connected a device to the control panel. It bypassed the security system, and the door slid open. The aliens stepped into the dark corridor of the human warship. "Minimal life support," one soldier reported, checking a device on his wrist. "Air is thin but breathable. Temperature is low. Stay alert," Tay said. "Doka, which way to the command center?" The tech specialist consulted a map on his display. "This way," he pointed down the corridor to the right. The team moved silently through the ship. Their footsteps made no sound. Their suits blended with the shadows. They passed empty rooms, abandoned workstations, and dark hallways. The ship seemed truly dead, but it wasn't. In the hidden room, Colonel Han's eyes opened. They were blue, bright with intelligence and determination. The pod's lid slid back, and cold air rushed in. Han took his first conscious breath in almost 2 centuries. It hurt his lungs, but he welcomed the pain. It told him he was alive. "Status report," he whispered, his voice rough from long disuse. The ship's computer responded in his mind. "Intruders on board, 12 individuals. Species identification, Xelan. Members of the Concordat. They are heading toward the command center." Han nodded. "Ship status? All critical systems operational but dormant. Weapons at ready status. Engines can be activated on your command." "And the asset?" Han asked, thinking of the ship's most important passenger. "The asset remains in deep stasis, life signs stable, ready for activation on your command." Han slowly sat up. His muscles were weak after so long asleep, but the machines in his body were helping them remember how to work. He swung his legs over the side of the pod and stood carefully. "Show me the intruders," he ordered. In his mind, he saw the aliens moving through his ship. Their strange shapes, their careful movements, their weapons pointed ahead, ready to fire. Colonel Han's face hardened. These were the enemies who had defeated humanity, who had pushed his people back to Earth and kept them prisoners on their own planet for almost 200 years. And now they had come to steal the one thing that could give humanity a second chance. "Not today," Han whispered. "Activate Defense Protocol Alpha. Seal all bulkheads between the intruders and the asset. Prepare revival sequence for Lieutenant Kim." As the alien team moved deeper into the ship, they had no idea that the trap had already been sprung. The weapon they sought was waking up, and it would change everything. Colonel Han moved slowly through the hidden passages of the Haisong. His body was still getting used to being awake. Each step became stronger than the last. The small machines inside him worked hard to fix his muscles that had not moved for almost 200 years. "Show me the intruders again," he ordered in his mind. The ship's computer sent images directly to his brain. The aliens were still moving toward the command center. They did not know that Han was awake. They did not know about the secret passages that ran through the walls of the ship. Han reached a small room filled with screens. It was a security station that let him watch every part of the ship. He sat down in the chair and began to type on the keyboard. The screens lit up, showing different areas of the Haisong. "Computer, tell me what happened to Earth while I was asleep," Han said as he worked. "After the war, the Concordat forced all humans to return to Earth," the computer's voice said in his mind. "They destroyed most of our technology and put satellites around the planet to watch humans. They only allow basic technology. No space travel, no advanced weapons. The human population is now 5 billion. The Concordat controls who can leave Earth, and only a few thousand humans are allowed to work on alien planets. Han's face showed sadness and anger. So we are prisoners. Yes, Colonel. For 193 years. Han stood up. Then it's time to change that. Begin waking Lieutenant Kim. I will meet the intruders. In another part of the ship, Commander Tay and his team had reached the main hallway leading to the command center. The lights here were still off. They moved like shadows, their special suits hiding them from any cameras that might still work. This is too easy, whispered Doka, the tech expert. A ship this important should have better protection. The humans lost the war, said another soldier named Lith. Maybe they forgot about this ship. Commander Tay held up his hand for silence. Stay alert. We don't know what we might find. They reached a large door. It was the entrance to the command center. Doka moved forward with his tools to open it. Suddenly the lights in the hallway turned on. The aliens froze. Their hiding suits worked best in darkness. Welcome aboard the Earth Defense Force warship HFY, said a calm voice over the ship's speakers. You are trespassing on military property. The aliens raised their weapons, looking around for the source of the voice. I am Colonel Jun Han, commander of this vessel. You will drop your weapons and surrender immediately. Tay signaled to his team to spread out. This is Commander Tay of the Concordat exploration vessel Luminous Void. This ship is in Concordat space. Under the terms of the surrender treaty, all human military vessels were to be turned over or destroyed. This ship is now Concordat property. There was silence for a moment. Then a door at the end of the hallway opened. A human man stepped out. He wore a simple gray uniform with no marks or badges. He looked to be in his middle years with short black hair and a serious face. He carried no weapon they could see. The HFY was never part of that treaty, Colonel Han said calmly, because officially this ship doesn't exist. Commander Tay aimed his weapon at the human. Step aside. We are here to claim this vessel and any technology it contains. Han did not move. You mean you're here to steal the weapon you've been looking for all these years? He smiled slightly. You're too late. It's already awake. In the deepest part of the ship, another stasis pod was opening. Unlike Colonel Han's simple pod, this one was surrounded by complex machines. Tubes and wires connected it to the ship's power core. As the lid opened, cold mist poured out. Inside lay a young woman. Her black hair was cut short. Her face was peaceful, as if she was only sleeping. But there was something different about her. Under her skin, faint blue lines could be seen, like glowing veins running through her body. The computer spoke. Lieutenant Kim, revival process complete. Neural. Connection established. Integration at 25% and rising. The woman's eyes opened slowly. They glowed with the same blue light as the lines on her skin. Back in the hallway, the alien still faced Colonel Han. What weapon? Tay demanded. Tell us now. Han shook his head. You should have left us alone. Humans only wanted to explore, to grow. We would have joined your Concordat if you had asked us as equals. Instead, you attacked. You pushed us back. You made us prisoners on our own planet. Humans were expanding too fast, Tay said, taking worlds that others had claimed. You refused to follow the rules. Your rules, Han corrected, made by species that had been in space thousands of years before us. You feared us because we learned quickly. Because in 100 years of space travel, we had done what took your people 1,000. As they talked, Han was watching the status of Lieutenant Kim through his neural link with the ship. Integration now at 62%, the computer reported in his mind. Tay was growing impatient. Enough talk. Move aside or we will shoot. Your weapons won't work here, Han said calmly. Tay smiled beneath his helmet. We'll see. He pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The other aliens tried their weapons too. None worked. What is this? Doka asked, looking at his gun with confusion. A field that stops energy weapons, Han explained. One of the many technologies we developed during the war. Technologies you never knew about because this ship escaped before you could capture it. In her revival chamber, Lieutenant Kim sat up. Her movements were smooth and certain, as if she had not been asleep for nearly 2 centuries. She touched the side of her head, where a small metal disc was attached to her skin. "Colonel Han," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I hear you." Through their connected minds, Han spoke to her. "Welcome back, Lieutenant. We have visitors." Kim stood up from the pod. She wore a simple white jumpsuit. The blue lines under her skin pulsed with light. "I see them. Shall I remove them from the ship?" "Not yet," Han replied in his thoughts. "I want them to understand what they've done, what they've awakened." Kim nodded. She placed her hands on a control panel near her pod. As she touched it, the blue lines on her skin seemed to flow into the panel. The lights in the room brightened. Throughout the ship, systems began to power up. Engines that had been silent for 2 centuries hummed to life. In the hallway, the aliens felt the ship trembling beneath their feet. "What's happening?" asked Lith, looking around nervously. Colonel Han's face remained calm. "The end of your control over humanity is happening. Lieutenant Kim is connecting with the ship. Soon she will connect to your ship as well, and then to the concordate satellites around Earth. And then," he smiled, "then everything changes." Tay lunged forward, trying to grab Han. "Stop this now!" But his hands passed right through the human. Han's image flickered. "A hologram," Doka said. "He's not really here." "Find him," Tay ordered. "Find this Lieutenant Kim. We must stop them before—" The ship lurched suddenly. The aliens struggled to keep their balance. "Too late," Han's hologram said before disappearing. "We're already moving." The Haesong's powerful engines pushed the ancient warship forward. After 200 years of hiding, of waiting, humanity's last weapon was on the move, and the Concordate was about to learn why they had been right to fear it. Commander Tay and his team ran through the hallways of the Haesong. The ship's sudden movement had caught them by surprise. Their plan to quietly search the vessel was now ruined. "We need to get back to our ship," Tay shouted over the noise of the engines. "Doka, find us a path to the airlock." The tech expert pulled out a small device and looked at its screen. His 3-fingered hand trembled slightly. "The way back is closed, Commander. All doors leading to our docking tube have sealed shut." "Then we find another way," Tay said firmly. "The humans only have 2 people awake on this ship. We can still take control." As the aliens discussed their options, Colonel Han watched them through the ship's cameras. He sat in a small control room near the center of the Haesong. From here, he could see everything happening on the ship. "They're trying to find a way back to their vessel," Han said out loud. "Should I stop them?" asked Lieutenant Kim's voice, in his mind. Han thought for a moment. "No. Let them think they have a chance. I want to see what they'll do." Through their mental link, Han could feel Kim's presence. It was strange but comforting, like having another person sharing his thoughts. The neural technology that connected them also connected Kim to the ship itself. She could control all of its systems just by thinking. "How are you feeling, Lieutenant?" Han asked. "Strong," Kim replied. "Different than before. I can feel the ship as if it's part of my body. I can sense the alien vessel nearby. Their technology is interesting. More advanced than ours in some ways, simpler in others." Han nodded. "Can you access their systems?" "I'm trying. Their computer security is good, but I'm finding ways around it." There was a pause. "Colonel, I found something. The aliens have detailed files about Earth, about what happened after the war." Han's face darkened. "Show me." Images filled his mind. Earth as it was now. Cities rebuilt but simpler than before. People living under the watchful eyes of concordate observers. Humans allowed to use only basic technology. Any advanced research closely monitored and limited. They've kept us prisoners for 2 centuries, Han said bitterly, prevented us from reaching our potential. Not anymore, Kim said, determination in her voice. I'm into their ship's computers now. I have control of their engines, their communications, everything. Han smiled. Good. Now let's have a talk with our guests. The aliens had reached a small maintenance room. They had tried several doors, but all were locked. Commander Tay was growing frustrated. Their security systems are more advanced than we thought, Doka admitted. I can't override the door controls. Suddenly, all the screens in the room lit up. Colonel Han's face appeared on each one. Going somewhere? He asked. Tay stepped forward. Release us now, human. You have committed an act of war against the Concordat. Han laughed softly. No, Commander. Your people committed an act of war against humanity 200 years ago. We're just finally responding. What do you want? Doka asked. To talk, Han replied. To explain what's happening. You came looking for a weapon, didn't you? A secret project that your intelligence said could have changed the outcome of the war. The aliens looked at each other. Tay nodded slowly. Yes. Our reports indicated that humans were developing something powerful before we defeated them. Something that combined your technology with your biology. Very good, Han said. You're right, and you just helped us wake it up. In another part of the ship, Lieutenant Kim stood in a special room filled with glowing blue equipment. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps and data. Kim had her eyes closed. The blue lines under her skin pulsed with light as she stood there. Her mind reached out beyond the ship. She could feel the alien vessel nearby. Its systems were now under her control. But she didn't stop there. Her consciousness stretched further, moving faster than light through the special quantum network that humans had built before the war. The network had been dormant for centuries, waiting for someone like her to activate it again. Now, as her mind touched it, connection points throughout human-explored space began to wake up. Back in the maintenance room, Han continued talking to the aliens. Let me tell you about Lieutenant Kim, he said. Before the war, humans were experimenting with ways to connect our minds directly to our computers and ships. We succeeded, but Kim is more than that. She's the first of what would have been many, a human whose mind can connect not just to one ship or system, but to many at once, across any distance. That's impossible, Doka said. No biological mind could process that much information. You're right, Han agreed. A normal human mind couldn't. That's why Kim isn't fully human anymore. Her brain has been enhanced with quantum computing elements. She thinks differently than you or I do. She can be in many places at once. Ship suddenly changed direction. The aliens stumbled as the floor shifted beneath them. What's happening now? Tay demanded. Kim has taken control of your ship as well, Han explained calmly. We're both moving to a new location, somewhere your people haven't been able to find for 2 centuries. In the special room, Kim opened her eyes. They glowed brightly now. Colonel, she said aloud, knowing he could hear her through their link. I've found it. The hidden base is still there. Still waiting. Han smiled. Excellent. Take us there, Lieutenant. The Haesong and the Concordat ship Luminous Void moved together through space, accelerating to speeds that the aliens didn't think the old human warship could reach. Soon they entered a dense field of asteroids. The two ships weaved between the large rocks with perfect precision, despite the dangerous path. This is suicide, Lith said, watching the asteroids passing by on a screen. No pilot could navigate this safely. Kim isn't using pilots, Han told them. She's controlling both ships directly. Her reaction time is thousands of times faster than any organic pilot. They traveled deeper into the asteroid field. Then, suddenly, they were through it and facing what looked like a small moon. But as they got closer, the aliens could see that it wasn't natural. Parts of its surface were too smooth, too regular. What is that? Tay asked, unable to hide his curiosity. Home, Han said simply. Or at least it was supposed to be. Before the war ended. On the surface of the object, lights began to turn on. Huge doors opened, revealing a docking bay large enough for both ships. "You see, Commander," Han continued, "the Haesong wasn't the weapon you were looking for. It was just the key to wake up Lieutenant Kim, who is the key to wake up this." He gestured at the massive structure before them. "Humanity's last outpost, hidden where your people couldn't find it, filled with the technology you feared we would create." The ships moved slowly into the docking bay. The huge doors closed behind them. "And now," Han said, his voice growing serious, "now we can finally bring justice to those who imprisoned our people for 2 centuries. Commander Tay stood tall, facing the screen. "You can't win against the entire Concordat, human. We have thousands of ships, hundreds of worlds." Han smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "We'll see about that, Commander. We'll see." As if to answer Tay's challenge, hundreds of lights began to turn on throughout the hidden base. Systems that had been waiting in darkness for 200 years were waking up. And Lieutenant Kim, humanity's last and greatest weapon, was bringing them all to life. The hidden base was enormous. Once both ships had landed in the docking bay, Colonel Han ordered the alien team to be brought to the main control room. 6 robots with human-like shapes escorted Commander Tay and his soldiers through long hallways and large rooms filled with machines. "This place is huge," whispered Lith to Doka as they walked. "How did the humans build this without the Concordat knowing?" "Quietly," Colonel Han said, suddenly appearing beside them. He was no longer a hologram, but really there in person. "We started building it before the war, in secret. We finished it just as we were losing." Tay looked around at the base. Everything was clean, as if it had been waiting just a short time, not 2 centuries. "Why didn't you use this place during the war? It could have helped you fight." "It wasn't ready," Han explained as they walked. "And its purpose was never to fight the war we were losing. It was meant for the war that would come after." They reached a large door. It slid open to reveal a circular room with screens covering the walls. In the center stood Lieutenant Kim. The blue lines under her skin glowed brighter now. She did not look at the aliens as they entered. Her eyes were focused on something only she could see. "Welcome to the control center," Han said. "From here, Lieutenant Kim can reach any system in human space, and now, any system in Concordat space as well." Doka stepped forward, his eyes wide with fear and interest. "That's not possible. The distances are too great. The information would take years to travel." Han smiled. "For normal signals, yes. But we don't use normal signals." He pointed to the blue lines on Kim's skin. "Those contain quantum entanglement nodes. They allow instant communication across any distance. When we say Kim's mind can be in many places at once, we mean it literally." "Quantum entanglement can't carry that much data," Doka argued. "The physics don't work that way." "Your physics don't," Han corrected. "Ours do. It's one of the advancements we made that frightened the Concordat so much." As they spoke, Kim finally turned to look at them. Her eyes were almost completely blue now, with just a hint of the original brown around the edges. "Colonel," she said, her voice calm, "I have connected to 37 hidden bases throughout former human space. They are all functional. I have also accessed the Concordat monitoring system around Earth. I can disable it whenever you give the order." Commander Tay stepped forward angrily. "This is an act of war. The Concordat will not stand for this interference. If you attack our systems, we will destroy Earth completely." For the first time, Han's calm face showed real anger. "You've been threatening us with that for 200 years, Commander. It's how you've kept us prisoners on our own planet. But that ends today." He turned to Kim. "Lieutenant, show our guests what else you've been doing while we brought them here." Kim nodded. She raised her hand, and the screens around the room lit up. They showed different Concordat worlds and space stations. On each screen, small objects could be seen moving into position near important facilities. "What are those?" Tay asked, his voice now uncertain. "We call them whispers," Han said. "Small, nearly undetectable drones. We hid thousands of them throughout Concordat space before we lost the war. They've been sleeping, waiting for Kim's signal to wake up. Impossible, Doka whispered. Our detection systems would have found them. Not if they were designed to look like space debris, Han countered. Not if they used materials that your scanners were programmed to ignore. On the screens, the whispers moved closer to their targets. Each whisper carries a quantum node connected to Kim's mind, Han continued. Each one is now an extension of her consciousness, and each one is positioned near a key Concordat facility. Ty's face showed understanding and horror. You're going to attack us? Han shook his head. No, Commander. We're not like you. We don't want to destroy. We want freedom. He looked at Kim. Show them Plan Alpha. Kim closed her eyes briefly. New images appeared on the screens. The whispers. We're now sending signals to the Concordat facilities. But instead of weapons firing, the screens showed Concordat ships powering down. Defense systems turning off. Communication arrays going silent. What's happening? Lith asked, confused. Lieutenant Kim is sending a specific signal pattern to your systems, Han explained. It temporarily disables them without causing permanent damage. Right now, she's shutting down the 20 most important military bases in the Concordat, just to show that she can. The aliens watched in shock as their most powerful facilities went dark one by one. This is just a demonstration, Han said. A warning. Kim could do much worse if she wanted to. She could turn your weapons against you, she could crash your ships. She could destroy everything the Concordat has built. He paused. But that's not what we want. What do you want? Tay asked quietly. Freedom, Han said simply. For humanity to be released from its prison. For the unfair restrictions on Earth to be lifted. For humans to be allowed to join the stars again as equals, not as servants. Kim opened her eyes again. The demonstration is complete, Colonel. All systems are being allowed to restart. No permanent damage was done. Han nodded. Good. Now, Commander Tay, we're going to send you and your team back to the Concordat with a message. You will tell your leaders what you've seen here. You will explain what Lieutenant Kim can do, and you will deliver our terms. Terms? Tay repeated. Yes. Very simple ones. Han held up one finger. First, all monitoring stations around Earth will be removed. He held up a second finger. Second, all restrictions on human technology and travel will end. A third finger. Third, humanity will be recognized as a free and equal member of the galactic community. The aliens looked at each other. Finally, Doka spoke. And if the Concordat refuses? Han's face was calm again, but his eyes were hard. Then, Lieutenant, Kim will shut down every military system in Concordat space, not for a few minutes like today. Forever. Your ships will drift in space, your weapons will be useless, your communications will be silent. He stepped closer to Tay. We don't want war, Commander. We never did. We just want what every species deserves, the right to determine our own future. Kim moved her hand again, and a new image appeared on the main screen. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue, with the Concordat monitoring satellites visible as small dots around it. Your people have held ours captive for nearly 2 centuries, Han said quietly. All because you feared what we might become. He looked at Kim with her glowing eyes and the power of 2 civilizations at her command. It turns out you were right to be afraid, but fear doesn't justify what you did to us. Tay stared at the image of Earth for a long time. Then he turned to Han. I will deliver your message. Han nodded. Good. Lieutenant Kim will return control of your ship to you. You may leave whenever you're ready. He looked at each alien in turn. Remember what you've seen here today. Remember what we could do, and what we chose not to do. The future of both our peoples depends on what happens next. As the aliens were led back to their ship, Doka looked back at Kim one last time. She stood in the center of the control room, connected to countless systems across the galaxy, the most powerful weapon humans had ever created. And yet, she had chosen to disable rather than destroy. Perhaps, he thought, There was hope for peace after all. 3 days passed since Commander Tay and his team left the hidden base in their ship. Colonel Han and Lieutenant Kim waited patiently for the Concordate's response. Kim spent most of her time in the control center, her mind connected to the network of whispers throughout Concordate space. She watched their ships, their bases, their leaders meeting to discuss what to do about the humans. Han walked into the control room on the morning of the 4th day. "Any news?" he asked. Kim turned to him. The blue glow in her eyes had dimmed, slightly, making her look more human again. "They're still arguing. Some want to fight, others want to make peace. The military leaders are angry. The civilian leaders are afraid." Han nodded. This was what he had expected. "And Earth? Are our people safe?" "Yes," Kim said. "I've been watching the monitoring stations carefully. The Concordate has not made any threatening moves toward Earth. In fact, some of their ships have pulled back." Han smiled slightly. "Good. They understand what would happen if they tried to harm our homeworld." He walked to a screen showing Earth from a distance. 200 years, he said softly. 200 years of being prisoners in our own home. "Not anymore," Kim reminded him. "Whatever happens next, Earth will be free." Just then, an alert sounded. Kim's eyes brightened as she accessed the incoming signal. "Colonel, a Concordate fleet is approaching. 20 ships. They're hailing us." Han straightened his uniform. "Let's hear what they have to say." The main screen changed to show an alien face. It was not Tay, but an older Zealand with gray skin and formal decorations on its armor. "I am High Commander Vex of the Concordate Defense Force. I wish to speak with the human leader." "I am Colonel Jun Han of the Earth Defense Force. I speak for humanity in this matter." The alien studied Han for a moment. "Commander Tay has reported what he saw at your base. He explained the capabilities of your weapon." Vex's eyes narrowed. "Some of my colleagues believe he exaggerated. They think it's impossible for one being to control so many systems at once." Han gestured to Kim, who stepped forward. "This is Lieutenant Sun Kim. She is the one you're talking about. Would you like another demonstration of her abilities?" Before Vex could answer, the lights on his ship flickered. Several screens behind him went dark, then came back on. The aliens' eyes widened. "That was a small sample," Han said calmly. "Lieutenant Kim could do much more if needed." Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a more careful tone. "The Concordate Council has discussed your terms. We have concerns about lifting all restrictions immediately. Your people have been without advanced technology for generations. There would be adjustment problems." "We understand that," Han replied. "We're not asking for everything to happen in one day, but the process must begin now, and it must be complete. No more monitoring stations, no more technology restrictions, no more treating humans as lesser beings." Vex looked at someone off-screen, then back at Han. "The Council proposes a 5-year plan. All monitoring stations will be removed within 1 month. Technology restrictions will be lifted gradually over 5 years. Human representatives will be invited to join Concordate meetings immediately." Han considered this. It was more generous than he had expected. "And what guarantees do we have that the Concordate will keep its word this time?" Vex's face showed something like shame. "We will allow Lieutenant Kim to maintain her network of, what did you call them? Whispers? They will serve as your guarantee. As long as the Concordate honors the agreement, we ask that you do not interfere with our systems again." Han looked at Kim. Through their neural link, she sent her thoughts. "It's a good offer. We can watch them to make sure they keep their word." Han nodded slightly. "We accept your proposal with one addition. I want representatives from Earth to be included in creating this 5-year plan. Our people should have a say in their own future." "Agreed," Vex said quickly, relief visible on his alien face. "We will send a delegation to Earth within 1 week to begin discussions." After the call ended, Han sat down heavily in a chair. He felt tired suddenly, the weight of 2 centuries of waiting finally lifting from his shoulders. "We did it," he said quietly. We actually did it. Kim placed a hand on his shoulder. Yes, but our work is just beginning. 1 month later, Han and Kim stood on a hill outside Seoul, the capital city of Korea on Earth. The sky above was clear and blue. For the first time in 200 years, there were no concordate satellites visible overhead. They had all been removed as promised. It feels strange to be home, Han said, looking at the city. It had changed so much since he had last seen it. The buildings were different, the people dressed differently, but it was still Earth, still home. It's changing already, Kim noted. She pointed to a large building where human and alien scientists were working together. Our people are learning fast. The concordate representatives seem surprised by how quickly humans are catching up. Han smiled. That's why they feared us in the first place. We learn faster than they do. We adapt faster. He looked at Kim. How are you feeling? Is it hard to maintain the connections to all the whispers? The blue lines under Kim's skin pulsed softly. No. It's become easier, actually. My mind has adjusted to the neural load. I can monitor everything without strain now. A group of children ran past them, playing with small toy spaceships. One of them stopped and stared at Kim, noticing the blue glow of her eyes. Are you the Star Lady? The little girl asked. My mom says you can talk to the stars. Kim smiled and knelt down to the child's level. Something like that. I help keep Earth safe. The girl nodded seriously. When I grow up, I want to go to the stars too. You will, Kim promised. All of you will. Have that chance now. As the child ran off to join her friends, Han felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in a very long time. That's what this was all about, he said. Not revenge, not power. Just giving our people the freedom to reach their potential. Kim stood and looked up at the sky. The first human ship will launch next week. Just a small one, but it's the beginning. In 5 years, we'll have a fleet again. In 10, we'll be exploring beyond where we went before. And the Concordate? Han asked. Do you think they'll accept us as equals in the end? Kim was quiet for a moment, her mind touching the thousands of points throughout Concordate space. She could feel their ships, their worlds, their people going about their lives. Yes, she said finally. They're afraid still, but also curious. Some of them are excited to learn from us just as we're eager to learn from them. Han looked over the city one more time. In the distance, he could see an alien ship landing at the new spaceport, not as invaders or overseers, but as visitors, as potential friends. Then we succeeded, he said. We gave humanity a second chance. No, Kim corrected gently. We gave everyone a second chance, humans and the Concordate alike, a chance to do things differently this time. They stood together on the hillside, watching as Earth took its first steps back to the stars. The war was over. The long wait was done, and humanity's last weapon had turned out to be not a tool of destruction, but a bridge to a new beginning. The aliens had entered the warship seeking a weapon. What they found instead was a future neither they nor humanity had imagined possible, a future they would now build together. End.